This is Rhea from Brown Girl Connect.
And this is King of Oba O Me. Welcome to Wellness Wednesdays with IamBeautiful365.com. Today we are talking about ways to improve your physical wellness because Black wellness matters. So let's get to it.
So, the first suggestion seems to be common sense for most people is eat well.
Eat well.
Yeah.
Eat well and exercise, and that's
Number
it.
two,
We're
it's
done.
exercise.
We're
That's
done.
it. It's simple. So we're done. Have a good one. Okay. We're not. Let's talk about the types of nutrition. Right? So we got the general carnivore, right? Carnivore, you just eat
Meat
all that.
lovers.
Yeah, you just love your meat, right? And then there's, the carnivore hybrid where you eat vegetables too sometimes, right?
Are there people who eat only meat?
There are. They're not most common,
Uh-huh.
but yeah, there are people who say, I don't want any vegetables.
Can't you mess up your kidneys that way? Like, because you're going into protein overload? I heard about someone who was on one of those keto diets and died.
It happens. People,
Keto can kill.
well, every extreme, somebody is that, right?
Yeah.
Somebody does it.
Yeah.
And I've heard people who I've met personally, I won't say anybody's names, but people have said, all I want is meat.
Wow.
And then, of course, there are those who do meat and then they do some starch, right? Potatoes,
Right.
French fries.
That sounds
rice,
like children.
right?
Chicken nuggets and French
French
fries
fries,
and macaroni and cheese.
Yep, that's good. That's it.
The kids' diet.
And then, if they catch you with some fufu, they'll eat that.
Yeah.
Right? And so on. So that's that. And then there's vegetarian, right? Which is mostly meat. Mostly vegetables. And,
Covered in cheese, probably.
Right, and some starch. And then there's vegan, right? Where it's just probably very strict, right? It's really, really strict. No flesh at all. You can't even wear flesh if you're vegan.
Right? Yeah, and then that's why you have people who say plant-based.
Yeah. Because then it's mostly plants and not.
Yeah.
And they might be okay with wearing leather sometimes.
I wear my gym shoes.
Yeah. So you want to be plant-based. Suede looks good on a shoe, I must admit. Yeah. Leather looks really good on the shoe.
It keeps you warm. Leather keeps you warm.
Yeah, there are some nice faux leathers out there, but the sun beats them up really bad. Not that I'm advocating for,
but I think the whole point of covering these different types of nutrition is really to get at so we have the group, the Black Wellness Matters Challenge, right? And so basically a lot of people are in this group trying to improve their health from different aspects, right? And sometimes the feedback that we get is like, I want to go vegan, but it's too hard. I want to do better, but I gotta have my French fries, or I can't give up cheese. So or
I can't give up jerk chicken, or
right.
So many
I can't get off
to this.
Whatever. But I think the biggest thing to remember, so the thing that helped me several years ago when it comes to nutrition is flipping this idea of understanding that most of us live to eat. And instead flipping that inside out and eating to live. And once you can really get into that, regardless of what type of diet that you choose, it changes everything. And it kind of goes back to how the one time we were talking about that whole wellness wheel. Once you decide to eat to live, it changes your mental mindset, which goes to affect other things. I almost feel like that's how I've become more recently with the help of the bladder I can see moss capsules, right? So for me,
shout out to Dr. Sebi.
Shout out to Oba O Me. How about that?
Hey.
So I lost 20 pounds taking these capsules. You guys got to go check out his website. But basically, I was already doing intermittent fasting. And for the most part, I have a plant-based diet, right? And with the intermittent fasting, it's pretty much I wouldn't eat until after 1, and it was just between 1 and 8, and then I was just eating, anything between it. But the capsules helped because it cut out cravings, and I end up only eating once a day And it's gotten to the point where, and I know some people, I've said this and I've had people look at me like, you only eat once a day, right? But I'm not walking around hungry or starving, and I don't look like I'm starving, do I?
No.
Okay.
Not at all.
So like, it's like, oh yeah, it's time to eat. It's time to nourish my body, but it's not this big craving thing, which allows me to focus on other things. Like I've become more disciplined with my eating, which has improved other parts of my life, you know? And it wasn't, this time around, it wasn't intentional to try to do the eat to live. But it makes such a difference, you know, when you move yourself away from being attached to, I gotta eat something. I need some sugar.
Right,
I need that salt. My thing used to be like, I don't even really eat chicken, but I love, what is it? Popeyes, just the chicken skin?
Just the
chicken skin.
Like, they sold just the skin. That would sell a lot.
That's an idea.
Popeyes. I'm just saying, like.
So, I don't know. What would you say your diet is?
I try really hard to be like mostly plant-based and pescatarian. That was the recent goal.
Yeah.
But I'm almost an omnivore.
Yeah.
I don't eat pork, but beef, chicken, and then like, most of the time when I get food, I got David bringing it to me, so it's halal chicken or it's halal beef or it's, antibiotic free or anything like that. So it's good. But
who is David, by the way?
So David Brandt is a chef here in Chicago who does Healthy Cooking by David. And so I barter with him. I give him products and he gives me product by way of bringing me fresh food. He'll either cook it for me or bring me like salads and things like that. And if I'm doing a cleanse, he'll bring me psyllium husk and activated charcoal and things like that to cleanse. And he makes a really good juice that he sells. Gallons of this juice that has everything you could imagine for nutrition in it. So it's got sea moss in it, bladderwrack in it, and it doesn't overpower the flavor. Mixed with celery and green. It's a green juice that tastes great. It tastes refreshing. And if you're not careful, you just sit around and drink the whole gallon in a day. Like, it's really good.
So, like, if somebody was interested in that, how would they get in touch with him? Like, does he have a website or Facebook page?
He does have a website, I think. He definitely has a Facebook page. So we can, we'll give some information below.
We'll put it somewhere in the video.
You can catch up with David if you're in the Chicagoland area.
And that's a really good thing for people to look out for. Like, if you are trying to go on one, go in one of these particular boxes of diets. There we go. Right? So that's a really good idea, is to seek someone like that, because I find when your meals are already prepared, it's a lot easier to stick to. I'm kind of excited because now there's like a lot more vegan restaurants popping up.
Yeah.
Oh, and we just went to.
We don't Soul Vegetarian.
Well, we went to Soul Vegetarian today, and there's one in Atlanta as well. We went to Slutty Vegan.
Slutty Vegan.
I know you heard of Slutty Vegan, and they're franchising. So, like in Atlanta, they have their main location. Yeah. They just opened up a new location, which we didn't get to go to. We went to the original location, but they're franchising and expanding all over the country.
Yeah, listen. Those burgers, that's all they had that day, right? The burgers are busting.
That's all it is. It's a burger joint. It's a vegan burger joint.
Yeah, those are pretty good. Like,
yeah.
That's undeniable.
Yeah, it was. So, like, looking for stuff like that. Now, one of the things I do want to talk about, like, especially if you're considering going vegan, it seems pretty easy to do, because all you have to do is go to your freezer section and you can always find a replacement for the type of food that you want, which is a good way to start. But you do have to be careful, because a lot of those things are soy based. And so for me, like, I was vegetarian for probably about 14 years, right? Wow. So Yeah, so our household was a vegetarian household, so it was just easier for me to buy those kinds of foods. But I found like there's Boca and they have these TVP crumbles, which is textured vegetable protein, but it's soy based. So I was using it for if I was making shepherd's pie, then I just use a TVP, or I can do spaghetti with it, you know, and like this became leaning on Boca products or other soy-based products became my staple. I did like tons of tofu. So then when I decided, and it was just recently, you know, that I've made that decision, like I'm going to leave soy alone, it's almost put me like in a bind because I'm like, I don't know.
What do I do now?
What do I cook?
Oh man, listen.
What do I cook?
Now, there are a number of ways to do this, but it takes time, right? So you gotta you buy the mushrooms, you gotta do all the preparations, right? And it takes time, but that's something you could do.
I just need a chef.
And then there's pea protein, and then there's
which is fairly new.
But again, you get a chef, and you don't have to worry about that. So you know, David helps me with that. I don't have to think about it. But the tough part is when he's not available, or I run out of food and I'm hungry, I have to figure out what I'm going to do, and that's when I go back to like
Uber Eats,
right? I go to Harold's and get me some wings, or right, and that's when it goes downhill.
Yeah.
So, either I gotta pay him more money, right? I gotta figure this out, right? Or I gotta come. You know, I think if I traveled to him, I think it would be a little easier for him, right? Because you know he's married and he's got a life and he's got things to do, so he can't wait on me hand and foot. So I gotta figure it out. But you know, having a chef is definitely the best way to deal with it because. Again, they work on a meal plan. They have a menu. You know what, you know, you don't necessarily have to know what to expect. You just tell them what you want. And if you don't make a selection, right, the chef, knowing that they have to prepare a meal for you, will prepare what is necessary.
You know, I think one of the things that can be difficult, because like you were saying, it just takes more time to prepare, right? So if you know me and you know me, like I'm busy, right? And so I will literally get to 11 o'clock in the evening and be like, holy I didn't eat. I didn't eat, right? But I have found that there's real simple things, right? And you even had this one time, like it seems so simple, but like brown rice with black beans and some salsa in it. Yep. And that's the complete protein. That salsa takes it up. You know, you get your favorite salsa and it's like, it's perfect. Yep. It's a very Hispanic meal, right? That's where it comes from. True. But it's so good and it's so filling and you can eat as much of it as you want. Another thing that I do is I will do like a baked sweet potato and then whatever else. So like I do a baked sweet potato, I'll make me some spinach, and then maybe I'll do some chickpeas either with curry sauce or, you know, chef it up that way. And I mix everything together.
See, one of my simple favorites is wild rice and chickpeas.
Yeah.
Nice, easy. Well, it's not all that easy. Wild rice takes forever to cook, and chickpeas take forever to cook.
You know what though? I hate to admit it, but my go-to, like for the chickpeas, I get them in the can. I make sure I get the BPA free and I get the organic. You know, whatever. They have that's organic, but yeah, because like again, it's the preparation and all of that.
But they have them in the little soup carton. You can get those as well. Like you ever had the so you go to Trader Joe's and they have soups in there in this carton, right? They like right. They have chickpeas in one of those as well.
I was not aware of that.
You can get those as well.
Well, I guess I'll be going to Trader Joe's.
That or you know you get chickpeas and you soak them and then you just make sure you eat them all week before they start to sprout.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Look at that. I'm learning something new right here.
You know, you got to soak them overnight at least. And then they cook pretty fast that way.
Yeah.
The same with the wild rice. You can soak it. So when you cook it, it cooks faster than. Yeah. Because otherwise, it's a pain.
Yeah, but sweet potatoes are like my favorite go-to versus using like, because I like starches, right? So I love potatoes, french fries, breads, things like that. But when I find myself craving those things, I go straight to the sweet potatoes instead. Because I can throw it in the oven, forget about it, come back, and then sometimes the sweet potato is it for me. Like, that's all I need. But I'm trying to think of some other things. I think one of the biggest things that people may make mistakes with is when you decide you're going to go vegetarian or vegan, is they just load up on carbs.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
we call those starchitarians.
Oh,
Right?
okay.
Right. So you go and you're saying you're going to be vegetarian or vegan, and then you end up replacing everything with some sort of starch. So you eat a lot
Right.
of potatoes and a lot of rice, and
Right.
right, a lot of legumes, and right, and most
And
of
then
those
you
foods
end up
are
having
had a gut.
Remember I
Yeah,
said like
you get
having a
leaky
grocery
gut from eating all those
the whole
beans.
grocery bug,
and-
right?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
and that's another thing we didn't mention, right? When we talk about these modalities of eating, we didn't talk about the alkaline.
Oh,
Base,
yeah, go ahead.
Which is, Dr. Sebi's thing. I would suggest that everyone look up the alkaline diet menu from Dr. Sebi and get acquainted with it. It's even more limited than being vegan, but you got to eat right for your haplotype. And so, we need, as people from, right, and descendants of Africa, we need to eat what is
The foods,
natural to
yeah.
the land, not fufu or gari or what is customary now, but actually what grew from the land that the people ate before the conquestors and the conquerors showed up. And that's, but we got to deal with that. So some of the beans that we eat, although we're vegan, you want to eat vegan. Some of them are no-no. Chickpeas are probably the only seem-like bean that we should be eating. If we go by Dr. Sebi's meal plan. And then there's a real restriction on like all these crazy hybrid vegetables that we eat. But, like corn is
Yeah,
a super no-no.
corn.
Even when you
Yeah.
eat, even if you're eating, general vegan, corn, we all know corn is dangerous. But
Right.
there are so many things made of corn that taste good, right? Tortilla chips.
Don't take my tortilla chips away from me.
Hey,
Oh,
I'm saying,
I need my tortilla chips.
Hey, I mean, they even try really hard, right? They make tortilla chips that are partially chickpea and partially
Quinoa, right,
They try
right.
their best. And to be honest, quinoa chips aren't as good. But, you got to do what you got to do.
I was gonna say, so on the Dr. Sebi list, which as long as I've known about this stuff, I've never looked at.
You never looked at the list?
Never looked.
Oh.
No, and Dr. Sebi has been around in our household like forever. So like, yeah.
You never looked at the meal.
I just never did.
Yeah,
I was
you
like,
gotta look at-
whatever.
gotta look
Whatever
at
you
this
say, cook, I'll cook.
Oh, there
But
was no rice.
No, I was gonna say, what about quinoa?
Quinoa's on the list.
Quinoa is
Quinoa's
on the list. So
Quinoa,
like, if you,
we're talking like we talk about grains, quinoa, fenil.
Fenil, is that easy to find?
It is.
Okay.
Right. So there's a store called, I forgot the name of the brand. I think the Eden brand. There's a
Okay.
Eden, right, and you can get what we call ancient grains.
Well, that's what I was gonna say.
Right.
Quinoa is this ancient grain, right?
Yes.
And I want to go back to what you were saying about we need to eat what was on the land from where we come from, right? Because that's where that's what our bodies are used to, and we haven't evolved so much past that, you
Right.
know, and that's why. Well, as Black people, a lot of us have eczema.
Now, but we have evolved past that, but it's our taste.
It's
Like,
our
a sense of
taste,
taste,
but
a
I'm
sense of,
talking
right,
about
what we
how our
crave.
bodies react.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So there's like a lot of foods here in the U.S., right, that we eat that are traditional foods, and then we constantly have the eczema or breakouts or
asthma or
Right.
bronchitis or hypertension
Or fibroids,
high blood pressure
all diabetes.
All these things come from our diet.
Because the food is not meant for us. And so going back to these foods that were, it's our bodies need those kinds of things, right? So if you can imagine, like, okay, let's go to the Bible for a second.
Okay.
So remember manna, right? So manna's coming from the sky because there was no food, there was a famine, and God provided this manna, right? And it had everything that they needed, and it came to where they were. Now, whether or not you believe that is an actual true story or not, like, that is really how the earth works.
That is.
Where we are, where your ancestors are, the food is meant for you.
Yes.
So like, for instance, you're talking about corn, but if we talk about old, ancient, organic corn, indigenous Americans, that is your manna.
Mm-hmm.
That is your manna. When we're talking about quinoa,
Mhm.
the wonderful thing about quinoa, it's this ancient grain, right? It seems like it's more so newer. Anthropologists found the seeds. I don't know if you know this. Anthropologists found the seeds in like these big old giant urns. It was weird because it was in South America and it was in Egypt
Mm-hmm.
at relatively the same time when they found them. They planted the seeds to see what sprouted, and voila, we have quinoa again. So we hadn't had quinoa for all these hundreds of thousands of years, and in the middle of the 20th century, we have quinoa again, and it's. I love it because it's this grain that you can eat and you don't feel bloated. Like wheat hurts my stomach.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm gonna have a stomach ache afterwards. Rice will make you bloated or whatever, but quinoa is perfect.
Yeah.
It's like it's meant for us.
I mean, it's really light. It's really fluffy. It doesn't have that. You know what we're used to from our grains is like this starchy, like, and it just doesn't have that. So if you eat that and you're trying to imagine a replacement for rice, it just won't do it. So don't expect rice. And then there are other ancient grains, right? Kamut. Right?
Oh yeah,
right. That's a good one. And you can make like, kamut porridge or something similar to oatmeal. Spelt. Right, spelt's good. You can make spelt pancakes or waffles, or right. So there are lots of options out here. Just we just have to put the time in, practice,
right,
and get to know.
You just have to want to do it. Yeah. So what you want to do is take baby steps. So if you're trying like a new diet, or you're trying some of these new grains or whatever, maybe commit to twice a week that you're going to cook a big meal, that you're going to take the time out to prepare, and then you can just expand from there. We were talking about the quinoa. One of the things that I like to do, which is quick and easy, and my kids like it, is I make the quinoa and then I throw manwich sauce in it, and we do sloppy joes with the quinoa.
Oh,
and I throw it. Like,
how cool is that?
They have, there's the hamburger buns, but you see they have like the little thin hamburger buns. So we do those all the time.
What do you call them? Like flatbread buns, or
I can't think of the name of it right now, but yeah, they're just like half. They're skinny. They're real skinny, so it's not a lot of bread. But yeah, I throw it just like that, and we'll do like sweet potato fries, and so it's like it's traditional, but that's just how it is so easy to do.
You kind of gotta trick the kids.
You gotta trick the
once
kids.
Once you've given them, I mean, for all intents and purposes, bullshit.
My kids have never had regular sloppy joes in their life.
Oh,
yeah,
I mean, I guess
they've only had boca. Yeah, but you still they like sauce.
And they're used to the boca.
They're used to the boca. They like sauce. So yeah, but yeah, you just gotta get creative and figure it out.
Definitely.
Yeah. So we talked a lot about nutrition now, but the other half of that is exercise for your wellness. And exercising, I mean, not only can you either trim down or get into shape like you want, it does a lot. It connects to everything else. Like, the healthier your body is, while it appears on the outside, like, it's going to help you with your mental wellness.
Yeah, so you'll be able to think clearly when you eat better.
Yeah.
So exercising. So you got to get your cardio in.
You got to get your cardio.
You gotta get your cardio.
Hate cardio.
You hate cardio?
You know how I get my cardio in?
How?
Dancing.
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't even realize it.
All right. Amara La Negra does. That's how she says she exercises.
Yeah, that's what I do.
So yeah, get your dance in.
Get your dance in.
Especially when you got rumpage that you don't want to lose.
Yeah. Because then you'll get that dancer body.
Right,
like, my legs was looking great. I gotta get back to that. I had amazing legs.
Yeah, so exercise. So cardio. And then
so there's cardio. There's, if you want to do like strength and conditioning, there's weightlifting, which is amazing. Like, if all I could do was just weightlifting, period, that's all I would do.
Really?
Yes, I love lifting. I don't
look, get swole, huh?
I don't look swole right now because I'm not. But
you used to be swole?
Dude, we gotta pull up some pictures.
What?
Like, are you kidding me?
No, see, she gonna put a picture on here.
No, I ain't putting no picture. But no, like, yeah, weightlifting is amazing because it's burning that fat and you're building the muscle. So especially if you're particularly concerned, like, oh, I don't want to get too skinny, then lift some weights. Lift some weights.
And of course, right, muscle weighs more than fat. So if you're trying to gain weight and, you know, slim up, the weight
or trim up,
trim up and gain some weight. That's the way to gain it if you're, you know, small like myself. Like I'd have to lift weight. There's no. I did gain some weight. I did gain some weight, right? Some cellulite, some fat, whatever we want to call it, adipose tissue, over back when Layla was born. But you know, it's been 4 years now; it's all gone.
Yeah. So I think the biggest barrier with exercise is that people just don't like to do it. So you have to find a way to make it fun. And I'm all about, like I said, the dance, for instance, I'm all about ways to make it fun where you don't realize you're working out. So like I highly suggest dance classes, because you're having the fun. Martial arts, because now you're learning, you know, all of whatever you're doing.
There's
for the
a goal
martial
attached
arts,
to it, right?
Right. And so you're not thinking about the exercise that you're putting into it, right? Our favorite thing to do in college, bike riding.
Yeah,
bike riding.
Yeah.
Recently we did we did those scooters, but I still felt like that was strenuous as.
Really? Why? Because you had to stand the whole time?
Maybe it's because I was just sweating.
You're just standing because you were sweating.
No, you know.
But those scooters are fun.
But you know what it was? So we did these scooters. They're electric scooters, right? And when you think about it, you don't think you're exercising, but you're balancing yourself the whole way,
so your
which
core
is taking
working.
this core, the core, and then for me, I even felt it like in my glutes because you know you're constantly like, and then this even, you know, so like the second I did it, I was like, oh, that's what it was. So it is working out your body in a different way, definitely. So I mean, stuff like that, swimming
is definitely effortless. I had a good friend of mine, one of my frat brothers, he came by to pick up some products. His product was CMOS gel. He came by to get the CMOS gel, and we were talking about different ways to exercise. And he was like, man, you know, it's been a while since I've been able to swim because of this whole COVID thing, right? But he was like, man, where he works, they have a swimming pool and nobody's going in it. He was like, oh, I might want to talk to the president about seeing if I could be the person to test it out. You know, he was kidding, but he was serious about like wanting to get back in the pool because he said usually he would swim 3 times a week. I was like, oh, I had no idea that this guy who has, as far as I've known all my life, I felt like he was a big guy, and to know that all this time he's been doing a lot of swimming, and I didn't know.
Cardio.
Yeah.
That's cardio, and it's building muscle. Like it's doing a lot.
Yeah.
It's definitely doing a lot. What are some other things? Like there's a basketball.
Definitely easy, effortless, right? Again, you attach the goal to it of beating the next person. And
right.
And now you're playing basketball for an hour without thinking about it.
That's it. Yeah. Oh, hula hooping. Get you one of these 3-pound weighted hula hoops, and like you just go for like 20 minutes, watch your favorite show or whatever, and all of this, you're gonna start itching because all the sweat is coming out. And it's gonna tone all this down. Like
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I've got a lot of hula hoops.
Oh, that's another thing people could do.
What?
Like, you know, you watch your favorite TV show, and I guess commercials are a thing of the past. So if you got Hulu, this will work for you, right? Because Netflix is not happening. There are no commercials. So, but if you got Hulu and you're watching TV, every time a commercial comes on, do some squats or some push-ups or some sit-ups, right? And get it in while you're doing your show.
Yeah. I think, so one of the things I found, like when I was doing the dance class, is just the idea of having a group that I was doing stuff with. So, and I'll even share here, because I did specifically pole dancing, right? And I did it because to me it was like, oh, it's yoga, but it's on a pole, right? And I saw a friend post like an image on Instagram of her upside down on a pole, looked like she was hanging by her pinky toe, and I was like, if this chick could do it, I could do it better. Right? So like I signed up that night, and the particular, and a lot of the pole places, and I suggested for anybody, right? But a lot of the pole places, it's not just like you go and take a class like it's Zumba and you do the same thing over and over again.
Mhm.
You're actually learning to build strength, and so you'll have a level 1 class, then you move to level 2, then you graduate to level 3, and you go all the way up. And for where we were, there was level 7, and then you just stayed in level 7. And I think I got to like 4 or 5 level 7. Like you just stayed there, right? And the whole thing is you're constantly beating yourself, and you have this group that's moving with you. And so it's like if someone doesn't show up, you're like, girl, where you at? And you don't want to miss, because if you miss, now you ain't gonna be able to get up the pole. And like the beautiful thing about it was like being able to do that upside down stuff. You had to get super strong in all of this, and we had like amazing arms and you know muscles in your booty that just go like, that's a whole nother thing. But it was just, it was like there was constantly, you will never run out of something to learn or to work on. And like that's the biggest thing that I suggest to people. Like if you can find something that takes your mind away from the fact that you're exercising and you're working on this goal that is constantly moving, then you're gonna stick with it. You're gonna stick with it. I didn't stick with it because I ended up having a child, right? So you can't be on the pole with the baby, unfortunately. Well, with the baby in your belly, but yeah, like, and I suggest that for anyone. Like if you can find a group. Oh, you know what? Like maybe the male equivalent is like Bar Stars. Are you familiar with Bar Stars?
That's the male equivalent to pole dancing.
No, it's not pole dancing.
I mean,
it's pole fitness.
Fitness, whatever. But it's.
You know Bar Stars, right?
But,
They're literally doing the same
Listen,
on a horizontal bar.
But that whole horizontal bar is a whole different ball game. It's intimidating.
No, but
as a man.
But here's the deal. Listen to me, because once you could lift yourself upside down on the sideways pole, you could do it on the horizontal. I have shown you those videos of me and all my freaking chin-ups and all that stuff, right?
I hear you, but
and then we're gonna have to throw that
Bar
video
Stars,
in there.
That ain't, listen.
Are you trying to say Bar Stars is more difficult than pole fitness?
I'm not saying that. I'm talking
I'm gonna get you on the pole so you can see.
Bar Stars, from the men's perspective, that ain't no walk in the park.
No, but what I'm saying is you work your way up.
So what do you work your way from chin-ups to walking in the air, holding yourself up on the pole?
Yeah, you do that.
I mean, okay. Again, it's intimidating, but
yeah, you do that.
I'll take your word for it.
The pole is right here, and you go sideways, and it looks like you're walking up just like that until you're completely upside down. It is the equivalent.
Hey, I'm okay.
I'm just gonna have to prove it. I'm gonna have to just join pole all over again.
Just reel it back in.
Reel it all the way back in.
So,
endurance and flexibility.
Right.
I think that's the final thing. Like, look, if anything, get up and stretch every day.
Mm-hmm.
Just get up and stretch every day. Like, especially as you get older, it's really important. I know we both look really young, but flexibility is something that's really important. Every morning I wake up and I do a few yoga poses in bed. Like, I'm not even out of the bed. I still have the blanket over me, and I'm just doing that so I can stretch, open up my hips, open up my arms. I do it while driving just to keep that flexibility going so you don't end up being, one of them old people who are just
people hunched over.
Yeah, hunched over and stuff. Flexibility. I want to go back to like talking about building muscle and stuff, because sometimes people think about weightlifting as you're just trying to be strong or, do a muscle competition. Yeah, but it's not even that. So how I have issues with my knees, right? And the way I have these issues where I have
get you some CMOS.
Well, I have not a lot of cartilage behind my kneecaps, right? And then
CMOS. Go ahead.
There's all sorts of stuff going on with my knees, but the biggest thing is because I ended up in physical therapy and I had to build the muscles up here. So it was all about me like building those muscles up in my so I had to build up my hip flexors, right? Because the way the hip flexors work is they're pulling all of this back, so while you're walking, whereas my knees were like rubbing or something like that, right? But that's the thing, like you want to make sure that you're taking care of your muscular health, because you hear that muscular skeletal, right? So those muscles support our bones, so it's so important that you're addressing all of these areas, the cardio, the muscular. You do want to have, maybe not worry about strength so much, but you want to have endurance. You want to be able to go upstairs without, you know what I mean?
Right? You want to get to the top and you want to enjoy what's at the top of the
Right.
stairs.
Or what if you, women, what if you reach 40 and decide, like, I want to have a baby now, right? It is good to have your body in shape before you have that child.
Right.
So it makes the pregnancy so much easier. So much easier. And then it makes bounce back easier as well. And then
bounce back.
And then too, because men, they go through it while the women are pregnant as well. So it's like you really want to address all these areas. Yeah.
Well, man, when it comes to this this physical wellness, we could go on and on, it seems.
We've already gone on and on. There are so many ways to address your physical wellness. I think we could go on and on and on, but we're going to wrap it up now. Let us know, what are you doing, or what are you considering doing, or what are some alternative methods that people don't think about to address your wellness in terms of eating, or your physical wellness in terms of eating or exercise,
Right.
Things that are conducive to, I was gonna say Black people, but you know what? One of my favorite things was, look, I'm going right back into it. We did the what did I call it? I called it the Afri Fitness dance. We put on an event at our gym, and I had a girl put together African dances, and we made it a workout. And it was the best thing. It was the best thing in the world, and people wanted more and more and more. We didn't keep doing it, but find something to do.
Find something.
You will find something.
There's a lot to do.
There's so much to do. That is it for us today.
Well, thanks for joining us for Wellness Wednesday. All right, on IamBeautiful365.com.
This is King.
And this is Rhea.
We'll see you all next time. Bye.
Peace.